A billionaire living in a $7,000 house? Sounds like clickbait, right? But Elon Musk actually did it. And it's changing how people think about the future of housing. While most Americans are struggling to buy a home with prices averaging around $420,000 nationwide, Musk reportedly chose to live in a tiny 375-square-foot house worth less than a used car. Imagine that. The world's richest man, worth hundreds of billions, living in a home smaller than most garages. This isn't a mansion. It's not a smart home filled with robots, and it doesn't even have room for staff. It's a single-room space with a kitchen, a living area, and a fold-out bed. But Musk says it's all he needs. So why would someone with private jets and multiple companies choose something this simple? Is it a PR stunt? A statement about sustainability? Or maybe a glimpse of how we'll all live in the future? Elon Musk's so-called $7,000 house is actually a Boxabl casita, a foldable prefab home made by a startup called Boxabl, based in Las Vegas. These homes are designed to be built in a factory, shipped flat-packed, kind of like IKEA furniture, and assembled on site in just a few hours. The base model, called the casita, costs around $7,000 to $50,000, depending on the version and add-ons. It's about 375 square feet, featuring a full-size kitchen, bathroom, living space, and a sleeping area. Compact, but surprisingly functional. Boxabl's vision is to mass-produce homes the same way Tesla mass-produces cars, aiming to bring costs down so that housing can be affordable for everyone. Musk reportedly placed one of these homes near his SpaceX site in Boca Chica, Texas, where he spends most of his time working on rocket launches. In his own words, he tweeted, "My primary home is literally a $50,000 house in Boca Chica that I rent from SpaceX. It's kinda awesome." That statement stunned the world. A man who could afford any home on Earth, or Mars, choosing to live in a box-sized house worth less than his car. But there's a message behind it. Musk has long promoted minimalism and efficiency. He's said before that possessions weigh him down and that innovation shouldn't be about excess, but optimization. And symbolically, this choice fits perfectly with the era we're living in, when millions of Americans are priced out of homeownership. While people struggle with $3,000 mortgage payments, Musk's little foldable home stands as a strange reminder that maybe the future isn't about living bigger. It's about living smarter. Elon Musk's tiny home might sound extreme, but he's not alone in downsizing. Across the US, thousands of Americans are turning to tiny homes, not because they want to, but because they have to. With traditional homes now averaging over $420,000 and mortgage rates hovering around 7%, affordability has collapsed. The dream of owning a home, once the foundation of middle-class life, now feels out of reach for millions. That's why the tiny home movement is booming. These homes, often between 200 and 500 square feet, are cheap to build, energy efficient, and in many cases completely mobile. In cities like Austin, Denver, and Portland, tiny home communities are popping up as alternatives to renting or taking on decades of debt. Some people build them as backyard granny flats or guest houses. Others live in them full-time to escape the financial trap of traditional housing. The numbers say it all. The average cost of building a tiny home ranges from $30,000 to $60,000, which is less than the down payment on many traditional houses. And with rent prices rising faster than wages, younger generations are embracing smaller, simpler living. For some, it's not just about saving money. It's a lifestyle choice. Less space means less clutter, lower bills, and more freedom. In fact, the global tiny home market is projected to reach tens of billions of dollars in the next few years as more people seek independence from traditional housing costs. What Musk's doing isn't just eccentric, it's part of a bigger shift. People are realizing that owning less might actually mean living more. But of course, like any trend that promises freedom, it's not all perfect. Tiny homes promise a lot: affordability, simplicity, and freedom. But they also come with serious trade-offs. Let's start with the good side. The pros. Tiny homes are incredibly cost-efficient. Many can be built for the price of a new car, And once it's yours, there's no 30-year mortgage weighing you down. They're also fast to build. In some cases, companies like Boxabl can have your home delivered and assembled in a single day. Then there's maintenance and utilities. With such small spaces, energy bills are minimal and upkeep is easy. Most tiny homes are designed to be eco-friendly, using solar panels, efficient insulation, and even water recycling systems. It's a perfect fit for people who want sustainability without sacrificing comfort. And perhaps the biggest advantage is freedom. Some tiny homes are mobile, meaning you can literally take your home wherever you want. Live by the beach 1 month, near the mountains the next. For digital nomads and people who value flexibility, that's a dream come true. But let's be real. Tiny living isn't for everyone. The cons: space is the obvious one. At 300 to 400 square feet, it's cozy if you live alone. But for families, it can feel cramped fast. There's limited storage, privacy, and comfort. You have to adapt your entire lifestyle. Then there are zoning laws and building codes. In many US cities, you can't just park a tiny home wherever you want. Some states treat them as RVS, others as permanent structures. And that gray area makes things complicated. Financing is another issue. Traditional banks often won't approve standard mortgages for tiny homes because they don't classify as real property. That means many buyers have to pay upfront or find alternative loans, which limits access for lower-income families. Ironically, the group that needs them most. So, while tiny homes offer an escape from rising housing costs, they also come with obstacles: practical, legal, and social. It's not the fairy tale solution it might seem, but it's definitely forcing people and governments to rethink what home really means. So, is Elon Musk's $7,000 tiny home a glimpse into the future? Or just another billionaire experiment? The truth lies somewhere in between. Musk's choice might look symbolic, but it taps into something very real: the urgent need for affordable, sustainable housing. Around the world, housing costs have exploded, and cities are running out of both space and money to keep up. Young people, especially, are rethinking what success looks like. Fewer want 30-year mortgages, oversized houses, and endless debt. They want flexibility, efficiency, and freedom. That's exactly what companies like Boxabl are trying to build. Their idea is to mass-produce homes the way Tesla mass-produces cars, in factories, not construction sites, cutting costs and building times by more than half. Imagine ordering a home online, having it delivered to your land, and living in it within a day. That's not science fiction anymore. It's happening. If scaled correctly, this kind of innovation could reshape housing affordability worldwide. Governments could deploy these units for low-income housing, disaster relief, or military bases. Cities could expand faster without billion-dollar construction budgets. But it's not just about technology. It's about mindset. Musk's choice challenges a century-old idea that bigger always means better. Maybe the future isn't about owning a massive house. It's about living smarter, with less waste, less debt, and more freedom. It's a future where owning a home might finally be realistic again. Just smaller. So, whether you see it as genius minimalism or just clever marketing, one thing's certain: Elon Musk's $7,000 tiny home has started a global conversation. It's forcing people to question what they really need to live well, and whether financial freedom might come from owning less, not more. Maybe this is how the next generation escapes the housing trap, with affordable, efficient homes that don't demand a lifetime of debt. Or maybe it's just the first step in a much bigger shift toward sustainable living. Either way, it's a story that touches everyone. If you found this video interesting, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's tired of sky-high home prices. And I want to hear from you. Would you live in a $7,000 tiny home like Elon Musk? Or is it just too small for your lifestyle?